I want to begin with a statement from the PNP Patriots. It just came to hand in the newsroom, and it says, PNP Patriots affirm strong support for party leadership amid election reflection. And this statement from the Patriots is significant for what it says and doesn't say. Yeah? The People's National Party is going through a period of reflection, recrimination, bitterness, disappointment over their loss in last week's general elections. And we are hearing that a lot of discussions are taking place as to how to proceed, whether they should stick with Mark Golding or look elsewhere. And part of the debate internally has to do with whether the defeated leader, Mark Golding, should offer his resignation, as did Michael Manley in 1980 when he lost heavily to Edward Seaga, as it was with Portia Simpson Miller when she lost narrowly to Bruce Golding, as it was with Peter Phillips when he lost in 2020 to Andrew Holness. So I gather there is this debate simmering in the party, and people are taking positions. People are taking positions. And this morning, the Patriots, the PNP Patriots, have come out in strong support, not my word, their word, strong support for the party leader and his general secretary, Mark Golding and Dayton Campbell. The statement says in part, the Patriots National Council, the second highest decision-making body within the PNP Patriots, the young professional affiliate group of the PNP, convened on September 9. During this meeting, the council unanimously voted to congratulate and endorse the continued leadership of President Mark Golding and General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell. This strong endorsement reflects the Patriots' unwavering support for the party's leadership as it builds on its recent electoral successes and charts a bold path forward for Jamaica. Now, this is significant because what the Patriots are doing here is to publicly warn off anyone who is thinking of questioning or mounting a challenge to Golding and Campbell. That is what they're doing. They're saying, nobody even try it. Nobody even try it. Golding and Campbell have our full support, unwavering support, and they are about to chart a bold path forward for Jamaica. And the statement goes on to heap praises on Mark Golding's standout performance, it says, in the recent leadership debate against Prime Minister Holness, describing that performance by Golding as a game changer, where he decisively outperformed Holness. And then the other stinger in the Patriot statement. They say they emphasize the critical need for a steady hand at the helm to navigate the party through these times. So Golding and Campbell are the steady hands needed to navigate the party through these difficult times. Quote, "We have full confidence in our President, Mark Golding, and General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell to provide the stability necessary to move forward with unity and purpose. We fully support President Golding and General Secretary Campbell, whose leadership has already demonstrated a clear path toward renewal and victory." And that was stated by the President of the Patriots, Reverend Dr. Paul Blake. At this moment, our priority should be to thoroughly review the results and strategize ways to enhance our efforts moving forward, Blake added. Now, this to me says a lot. The Patriots know that the clouds are gathering over the leadership of Mark Golding and Dayton Campbell, both of whom are tied at the hip. Yeah? And they have made it clear that they are unwavering in their support for Golding and Campbell. And for those in the party who are thinking of questioning or mounting a challenge, you better forget it. Because insofar as the Patriots are concerned, in Golding and Campbell, they have the steady hand that they now need, yes, to chart a bold path forward for Jamaica. Now, I've been around for a little while. I know how these things go, how these statements are manufactured and crafted. Yeah? And this is what we're seeing here. We're seeing the first move in the post-September 23 election period facing the People's National Party. Yes? Stay tuned. More is to come. Yeah? That's from the Patriots. I can tell you that the word on the ground is that more and more of the comrades are saying, give it a Rasta man. Give it a Rasta man. Mark can't win. He never win. The Rasta man can do it. That is the word on the ground. All right? Give it a Rasta man. Time for the break. The Observer leads its front page today with another angle to what we saw in Mandeville 2 days ago. Brown man, bad long time, says the Observer this morning. Brown man, bad long time. murder suspect was deported at least 3 times from Canada for armed robberies, reports show. Yeah, deported 3 times at least. So he made his way back to Canada. Well, that is not surprising. We have some ingenious ways of beating this system, whether it's US or Canada, anywhere. Man get dip, man find them way back. Yeah? So the Observer this morning is saying, Dave Wilson, brown man, the murder suspect in Tuesday's 4-hour standoff with the security forces in Mandeville, served prison time in Canada for armed robberies and was reportedly deported at least 3 times. According to the Globe and Mail newspaper, a Canadian newspaper, Wilson and an accomplice had been twice deported before a February 2003 robbery in Toronto, when heavily armed men wearing bulletproof vests overpowered guards in an armored car making a cash delivery to a bank. The February 14, 2003 article said the men fled on foot to a video store after their getaway car wouldn't start, leading to a hostage situation there. An employee reportedly managed to call the police, and when the store was surrounded by police, the men gave themselves up. The Globe and Mail newspaper said the Toronto police were outraged that 2 Jamaicans accused of a violent robbery and hostage-taking had been deported from Canada on several previous occasions. Oh, I think it's disgusting. There's a sieve that allows these guys to run in and out of this country. We were going to call these guys yo-yo bandits because they've been in and out of Canada so often. The article quoted Sergeant Wilf Townley of the Toronto Police Hold-Up Squad as saying. And it goes on to say Wilson and his accomplice had both been convicted and imprisoned in the 1990s for armed robberies, and on separate occasions the 2 were deported after serving prison terms. So he has a history of criminality. And then the same Observer reporter has another story on brown man. Woman recalls how rejected deportee in Mandeville standoff poisoned her dog and terrorized her. Oh, a woman who claimed she turned down relationship advances from deceased murder suspect Dave Wilson said he became a bad neighbor when she rejected him and started dumping garbage in her yard and even poisoned her dog. In recalling her nightmare with Wilson, 54, who engaged the security forces in a 4-hour standoff at a Caledonia Road apartment on Tuesday, the woman, who requested anonymity, said she knew him for 3 years as a reserved person, but things took a turn a year ago when he started displaying signs of aggression. My first interaction with him was about 4 years ago. It was just in passing, like hi and bye, she said on Wednesday. She said Wilson expressed his interest in her a year ago at a nearby plaza, but when she turned him down, their interactions became bitter, even over the use of a garbage skip. Quoting the woman, "Last year I went up there," that's to the plaza, "to fix something with my boyfriend, and Dave came up to me. Basically, him did a look me. I laughed it off. The first disagreement we had was over that garbage skip over there," she pointed out. For years, I've been dumping my 1 and 2 garbage bags over there in the skip. However, the woman said she was startled to wake up to seeing garbage strewn across her yard, and the culprit wasn't her dogs, as her closed-circuit television captured Wilson emptying solid waste there. So we're learning a little bit more about Brown Man. Yeah? It's 23 minutes after 10. There's another story in the news this morning. It's a story that is developing. The rift between the Commissioner of Police and one of his senior officers, the Senior Superintendent Wayne Cameron. Well, Cameron has secured an injunction in court, blocking Commissioner Blake from removing him as chairman of the Police Officers Association, the POA. The Supreme Court yesterday, Wednesday, ordered a stay of the Commissioner's directives pending a judicial review scheduled for October 8. Cameron, who was re-elected POA chairman in November 2022, argued in court filings that the Commissioner has no authority to remove him from the post. He says any allegations of misconduct against him must be first adjudicated by a tribunal. He is insisting no such process has taken place. And on Monday, Commissioner Blake issued a directive for Cameron to vacate the role of chairman, citing reports of indiscipline and misconduct. So, this is not looking good. Yeah? Cameron on a collision course with the Commissioner. It's now in the courts, and it is to be arbitrated come October 8th, later this year. Back to the politics. The chairman of the Labour Party's Communications Task Force, or I should begin by saying, when is a government a minority government? That's how I should begin. Because there's some amount of, should I say, confusion or attempt to deliberately mislead or distort what is a minority government under our system of Westminster parliamentary democracy. A minority government, simply put, is a government that needs the parliamentary support of another party to have the majority votes in the House. As it is in Britain, it's called the House of Commons. Here in Jamaica, we call it the House of Representatives. Any party in government would like to have a majority in the parliament so it can pass laws. Yes? And you need a majority in the House so that you don't have to depend on any other party or grouping to get you through. Because under Westminster, a government loses a vote on a piece of legislation is cause for that government to collapse. Because when you lose a vote on a motion to pass a piece of law, then it means that the government has lost the confidence of the House. And therefore, governments tend to fall. Because then the opposition pounces and moves what is called a confidence vote. So when you accuse a government under Westminster of being a minority government, what you're saying, it's a government which would be prone to instability, very little certainty. That is the implication of when we say you're a minority government, That generates lack of confidence. It generates uncertainty. And markets, economies, people do not like uncertainty. So when I heard, I think it was Miss Jackson from JFJ, said this, we now have in place a minority government, I was taken aback. Because under our system, in the House, you have 63 members of Parliament. Therefore, a majority government needs to have at least 32 seats. Yes? Because we have 63 in the Parliament. So to enjoy a majority, you need 32 seats. This government, just re-elected last week, has 35. That's a comfortable working majority of 7, because it has 35, the opposition has 28. That's a comfortable working majority of 7. Unlike, based on recent history, 2016, when we had a government with a razor-thin majority of 32. You remember? Yeah, it was 32-31. And it turned out to be one of the most effective administrations because everybody was kept on their toes. People couldn't travel willy-nilly. For anybody to leave the island, you had to make sure it is timed in a way that could not put the government in jeopardy. So when Ms. Jackson and others say it is a minority government in place, they're simply wrong. Wrong. So something of a political quarrel has erupted over this, where the chairman of the JLP's Communications Task Force, Senator, he's no longer Senator, Abka Fitzhenley, has criticized what he claims are false narratives being pushed by individuals and organizations embittered by last Wednesday's election results. Yeah? And he took particular issue with the executive director of JFJ, Michael Jackson. Yes? And Jackson's claim was picked up by a Gleaner columnist, Dr. Michael Abrams, who wrote that the JLP is once again a minority government. When was it a minority government before, Michael? It wasn't. The online version of it has been corrected. The online version of Dr. Abrams' column has since been adjusted to remove the claim. According to Fitzhenley, maturity and truth are needed at this time.
It's known the world over that a minority administration is one that needs the support in terms of seat count of political parties which have won a minority of the seats in order to form government. No such inhibitions here, 35 to 28, a comfortable majority. We're not taken aback by the narrative because it's consistent with the efforts by some individuals to attempt to diminish Jamaica Labour Party administration. But I tell you what, the Jamaica Labour Party cannot afford and will not be detained or distracted by these narratives because there is so much work to do on behalf of the people of Jamaica. Dr. Holness is to be sworn in on Tuesday, and we're eager to intensify the work to improve the lives of Jamaicans in so many sectors.
That's Abka Fitzhenley. You know, we've got to be careful, especially in an era of so many lies, so much misleading information, where the noise is so loud and persistent, where some people deliberately set out to mislead. I don't know if Ms. Jackson just simply misunderstood what is meant by minority government. I don't know. Yeah? But in the history of parliamentary governments in Jamaica, we have never had a minority government. From 1944, we have never had a minority government. Never. The closest election result we have had was the 2016 32-31, and that was a majority government. And it worked. It worked very well. I suspect that Ms. Jackson some would want to have us believe that because a minority of voters turned upon the day, then we have a minority government. No, it doesn't work like that. That is why we have a democracy. You choose to stay home. You choose to have somebody else vote for you when you don't vote. But it doesn't mean that the government that ends up being formed with a majority of the seats in the parliament is a minority government. No.